All right, so we're trying to find this solution to the system of equations. There's a couple different ways to do this one. You could do elimination easy, since these two are the same. All right, since they're the same, what you can do is you can subtract the columns. Let's say we want to subtract down. So I would take 3 minus minus 2, which would be 5x. Y minus y would cancel out. And then I would have 3 minus negative 12, which would be 15. I divide both sides by 5, and I would get x equals 3. What I would do now is pick one of the equations, 3x plus y equals 3. I'm going to plug in x. So 3 times 3 plus y equals 3. So 9 plus y equals 3. Subtract 9 from both sides, and y would equal negative 6. So my solution to this problem is going to be 3, negative 6. I could check that solution by taking those x and y and plug it into this equation, and then see if that would actually give me and it would. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6. Minus 6 would be negative 12, so I know I'm right. If these weren't the same, right here, remember I could always do elimination this way, where I can multiply the top by negative 2 and the bottom by 3, and I can do all that, and then I can eliminate the x's instead. I could also do substitution here, which is what I'm going to do next, so you can kind of see that later on too. So I could isolate both of the y's here and then do substitution like I'm going to do in these next two problems. So this one, a little harder to do with elimination, because elimination is a little bit tougher here, because I can subtract the y's easy, but then x squared minus 2x, I really can't do that well, but I could easily do that here, and you can see that in a second. So substitution usually is a little bit easier, here. So what I'm going to look at is I see both these y's are equal to each other, right? So if I know that y equals y, what I can do is take both of those and plug them equal to each other. So the first y is x squared minus 3. The bottom y is 2x minus 4. What I'm going to do is isolate them. So minus 2x minus 2x. These cancel out. I can't do anything on that side, so x squared minus 2x minus 3 equals negative 4. I can add 4 to both sides. These cancel out, and I get x squared minus 2x plus 1 equals 0. If you remember factoring it all, I could factor that quadratic, so I can say x squared minus 2x plus 1 equals 0. So I could always just factor this, and it's x minus 1, x minus 1, and then I know my answer is going to be 1. Or I can come back here and say this is my A, this is my B, this is my C, and I can plug that into the quadratic formula. So my quadratic formula here would be 2 plus or minus the square root of negative 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times 1 all over 2 times 1. So that would give me 2 plus or minus the square root of 0 all over 2, which is going to just be 2 over 2, which is going to be equal to 1. So what happens is my x is equal to 1. Now what I would do is plug that in to this equation here. All right, so I know my solution has 1, so I'm going to put my solution here on the top. So I'm going to plug that into this equation now. So I'm going to say y equals 2 times 1 minus 4. So y equals 2 minus 4, which equals negative 2. So I can plug that in there. And I can plug that in and say 1. I can plug it into this one now. 1 squared is 1, minus 3 is negative 2, so I know I'm right. All right? So my solution here is 1, negative 2. There's only one solution here, which is what it told me at the beginning. This problem could have more than that, right? So I can do the same thing here. This problem is a little bit different. What I would do here is, again, substitution. So this one could be a little bit different. I can see this like, hey, y equals negative 1/2 x. So what I can do here is say, okay, I'm going to do x squared plus y squared equals 20. I'm going to try to just replace this y with this y up here. So I can sit there and say x squared plus negative 1/2 x squared, right, equals 20. So I can get x squared, 1/2 squared is 1/4, x squared is squared, so I get 1/4 x squared equals 20. Remember, I can always put a 1 here, so 1 plus 1/4. I can say is 1 1/4, or 1.25 x squared equals 20. I can divide both sides by 1.25. And so I get x squared equals to 16. Then I can take the square root of both sides. So x would equal 4 and negative 4. All right. So I have two solutions here where x is 4 and x is negative 4. I'm going to plug both of those into this problem right here. So I'm going to say negative 1/2 of 4 is going to be negative 2. And then half of negative 4 is going to be a positive 2. I can plug both of those into the last equation of x squared plus y squared equals 20. So this one right here. And I can sit there and say 4 squared is 16 plus 2 squared is 4 is 20, and the same thing with the next one. So these are my two solutions to this problem. 4, negative 2, and negative 4 and 2. All right, give those a try, see how you do.